Okay, let's begin this recipe. We have some pink salt, which I'm going to place on the skin side of these chicken thighs. And pepper, cracked pepper. Only because I have plenty of seasoning going in with the mirepoix, the vegetables. And you know, when you make a stew or braising something, mirepoix is used in like so many dishes. Why? Because it gives off a great flavor. So why not use it in something like this? And that's what I do. Quite often I use mirepoix in things that maybe most people wouldn't think of. Anyway, there's 3 chicken thighs here. One is big, one is medium, one is smaller. So I take the big one and I give the other 2 to my wife. Now I'm going to dust this in flour, and these are from Costco. And I'm only dusting one side, the skin side, because we want that crispy. But, you know, if you really care and you don't want to have this skin, which is not healthy, take the skin off. Then you can flour both sides. Now we're going to move over to my skillet, which is on medium flame. And I use light olive oil for cooking. Why? Because it's cheaper than extra virgin, and this can take the heat much better than extra virgin olive oil. So, shake it off, put it in there. You don't have to cook too fast. And you think it's not going to be enough room in there, but you know what happens? It just shrinks up quickly. Whenever I'm using flour, most of my recipes are for 2 people. And I always use about the same amount of flour, 1/4 cup. And you'll have some left over. There we go. So when we raise the flame just a little bit more, as you can see, a little bit more. You want crispy skin. Otherwise, the skin is chewy and soft, chewy, and it feels like you're chewing on fat. This way you don't feel so bad when it's crispy. Now, in here we have the mirepoix and mushrooms. And we also have some nutmeg, some allspice, and dried thyme. And what do I use mainly dry in my cooking? Well, I'm not going to go out and spend money to buy a package of fresh thyme and then figure out what to do with the rest of it. Like I do sometimes, I make oregano oil. I've made ginger oil. Well, I don't want all these oils sitting around. So when you see a recipe that says 1/4 of this or 1/2 of that, you can use fresh or dry. So what I'm going to do next is only going to brown the skin side. Take out the chicken, put in all the vegetables, saute them for a few minutes, and then put the chicken back on top with the meat side on top of the vegetables. And then slowly cook it. Forgot one ingredient. This the recipe says sweet potatoes. There are the sweet potatoes. You see how the dices are? That's a lot of sweet potatoes. But it's the same amount of sweet potato as if we both had one sweet potato each to go with the meal. Except it looks like more when it's diced up. So the sweet potato and the vegetables will go in together. And by the time the chicken is cooked, the sweet potatoes will be cooked also. And the only reason why I'm doing this recipe with sweet potatoes, because I must have 10,000 recipes, not 10,000, I already have a recipe for chicken with mushrooms and onions, and chicken with this, that, and the other thing. I have so many chicken recipes, all on my website, chefrobertcorey.com. If you go there, you'll see close to 1,000 recipes categorized for easy viewing. And they're all free, with lots of cooking tips. And you know that the chicken has such a nice flavor when it's floured. There's just something about it. Okay, so it's not the healthiest thing for you. You could also dust it in cornmeal and cook it like this. Anyway, we'll take a look at the chicken, because this is like boring watching this chicken cook. Look at it. It's got a long way to go before it gets brown. So we're going to shut off the camera and come back in about 6 minutes. So now I went inside and sat down for about 5 minutes. Now let's take this out. And you can smell it. You know what fried chicken smells like? That's what this smells like. Now, you hear that? How nice and crispy? Now we're going to lower the pressure, lower the volume, yes. And we're going to pour half of this out, because you don't need all that fat. Even though it's olive oil, we still don't need all of that in there. Now I'm going to pour some of this out. And then take my rag and wipe the sides, because if you don't wipe it, the flame is going to come up and it's going to burn the grease that just fell on the side. So now we go with all of this. Every piece of onion, and I clean as I go. So the salt, the pepper, and all the herbs and spices are in there. And we can go from low to almost medium. Immediately, before I forget, where are the potatoes? Over here. Pour off the water. And pour in the potato. You won't believe me if I say that that's only 2 sweet potatoes. Well, of course you realize everything in there is going to shrink. Going to mix this up well. So I put allspice in there because you can have allspice with the potato. Imagine if you made puree, you would put allspice in there. And nutmeg also. So that's why I put nutmeg and allspice in there for the potato. And now that that's like so, I'm going to add the chicken. Now I know what's going to happen to the skin, but at least it was crispy once. Now we're going to have to put a lid on that, because you do realize the chicken will never cook. So there's the flame. It's a moderate flame. And look at all the grease all over the stove. That's life. There we go. Now I'm going to give that 30 minutes and then I'll be back. This is the first time in all my recipes when I say I'll be back in a half hour, I cheat. I come back in 15 minutes just to double check. This time I did not come back. It has been a half hour and I hope that what's in the bottom of the pan is not scorched. So now I take the chicken out, because now in a way the chicken got steamed. And one of the most important ingredients I forgot about was my garlic. That's my homemade, fresh, minced up garlic mixed with olive oil. Not the jar that you buy, which is garbage. This is I buy the peeled cloves, put them in the Cuisinart, and do it. Now this is all cooked. I can feel the sweet potatoes done. So this mix looks pretty good. And I'm going very easy on the salt because it's not healthy. I should taste this. Now this, I have to use another pan because, excuse me, I want the skin. We'll put this over here and we'll put another skillet up there. I love this one. This is a Calphalon. Easy to clean. It just works well. So I'll put a drop of, I'm going to put a drop of butter. Butter because of the flavor butter gives off. So we have a chunk of butter. That's plenty. The piece just fell on the floor. Discard that. You see this butter dish? Somebody in the house dropped the lid and the ball came off. Crazy glue to the rescue. Anyway, we're going to put that on medium. and we're going to get the chicken skins back to a crispy state very easily. And I could tell by just sticking the chicken, they're cooked. So what I'm going to do is, it's 3:47 my time. We eat at 5 o'clock. So, this is here. We're going to shut this off. Okay? And over here, we have the sweet potatoes and all the vegetables. So, when it's time to serve, I will put the vegetables on the plate and then take the chicken and place it on top. Then I'm making grilled asparagus to go with that, with this dinner, but that's not part of this recipe. Now we have everything hot and we're going to serve. But my wife doesn't like the chicken on top of this, so I give this to her on the side. We have that. Then we go over here and get the crispy chicken once again. And then on top of that, we're going to put some scallions. And there's the finished plate. And I hope you enjoy.